Hi, welcome to Pre-AP Physics 3.1 Types of Forces. This is part 1. So how do you know a force has occurred? Well, 1, when a force is applied to an object, its shape might change. We call that deformation. Or the motion of the object might be affected. It might move. If it's already moving, its direction of motion might change, or it might stop. There are 2 general categories of forces. 1 are contact forces, those that require the agent that causes the force to be in contact with the object. These are pushing, pulling, squeezing, friction. 2nd are field forces, those that act at a distance. Examples are gravity, magnetism, and electricity. So on the left are contact forces, and on the right are field forces, and just some examples, some pictures of things that you might recognize. There are 4 forces of nature. On a macroscopic level, we observe several forces, such as gravity, friction, elasticity, electricity, push, pull, centripetal force. The origin of those forces can be traced to only 4 fundamental forces: gravity, electromagnetic, strong, and weak. So all forces are part of one of those 4. Gravity is what holds stars, planets together and depends on the mass of the objects. Electromagnetic is responsible for binding of atoms and molecules, and it depends on the charge on the objects. Strong force is what holds neutrons and protons together and is restricted to the nuclei of atoms. And a weak force is a very short-range force produced by instability in certain nuclei. It's why we can have ions. Each of these forces is described by a constant that gives the strength of the force. From strong to weak: strong, electromagnetic, weak, and gravitational. Strong and weak have a very short range, the order of nuclear diameter 10 to the negative 15th meters. Electromagnetic and gravity have a long range. They produce the macroscopic forces we observe in everyday life. So let's look at some examples of forces and their effects. A push, pull, grip, or squeeze. Pulling, hanging, pushing, those are all forces that we will consider to be tension. In this example, we have gravity pulling the buoy down, right? Weight is the force of gravity with which gravity attracts an object down toward the earth. In the second form of gravity, it's what holds a planet in orbit. It's a centripetal force. Electrical forces: 2 positive charges will repel, as will 2 negative charges, but a positive and a negative will attract, like you saw with the balloon and the blanket. Observed in static electricity, lightning, used in copy machines. Elastic forces and friction are caused by electric forces. So friction is our second form of force that we're going to look at, which is, you know that you have high friction and low friction. Air resistance is also another form of friction. Buoyant force is what causes objects to be pushed back up when pushed down in the water. Okay, or it's also what makes an object rise, like a hot air balloon when gravity is pulling it down. We also have air and water pressure. The bigger a hole is, the more water will come through it. The smaller it is, the more pressure you're going to get. You also have a tension force. It's like a tension on a string or a wire. When you hang something, you have a tension force. And finally, you have a support force. The support force is the force that is always with you. Okay, it goes around, and it is normal to set things on the tables, and it is normal to sit in the chair, and it is normal to have the chair sit on the ground. These are all normal support forces. All right, hope these help. Thanks for watching.